I stood at the edge of our bed in the black lace lingerie I'd saved for a special night, and never worn, watching my husband's eyes travel over my body with complete indifference. Then he rolled over, turned off the light, and said, "Good night, Linda." The rejection hit like ice water. This was how he felt? This hollow, humiliating ache? I'd bought this lingerie for our 10th anniversary, kept it pristine in tissue paper, waiting for the perfect moment that never came. Now, 17 years later, I was standing in it like a fool while my husband treated me like wallpaper. That was 3 days ago. I haven't stopped crying since. My name is Linda, and I'm 47 years old. For 27 years, I've been married to the only man I've ever loved. For 27 years, I've taken him completely for granted. And now, with our youngest a year from graduation, he's told me he's leaving. Not having an affair, not for someone younger, just finished with trying to love someone who won't love him back. The worst part? He's not even angry. He's indifferent. And that terrifies me more than rage ever could. We met in high school. Tom was the quiet guy who worked at his dad's hardware store after school, saving every penny for college. I was the cheerleader who noticed how his eyes followed me down the hallway. He was safe, stable, nothing like the boys who grabbed at me behind the bleachers. "You're different," I told him on our first date, meaning it as a compliment. "Different how?" he asked, that shy smile making me feel powerful. "You're respectful," I said. "What I meant was, you're grateful I chose you." We married right after graduation. I was 18, he was 19, and everyone said we were too young. But Tom had a plan. Work construction while taking night classes, save every penny, build us a life. He kept every promise he made me in that little church. When I got pregnant at 20, I told him I wanted to stay home with the baby. "Linda, we can't afford—" "Please," I begged. "My mom worked my whole childhood. I don't want that for our kids." He worked construction by day, stocked shelves at night, picked up weekend jobs laying tile for cash. Coming home with hands cracked and bleeding, too exhausted to eat, but never too tired to hold our daughter. "You need to eat," I'd say, watching him fall asleep at the dinner table. "Just let me hold you first," he'd mumble, reaching for me. "Missed you all day." I'd let him hold me for exactly 30 seconds before pulling away. "You smell like work. Go shower." 5 kids. That's what I gave him in return for his sacrifice. 3 girls, 2 boys, each one making money tighter, making him work harder. But he never complained. Never said no to another mouth to feed. I remember the night our third was born. Complications meant an emergency C-section, huge medical bills. I found Tom crying in the hospital bathroom. "We'll figure it out," he said, wiping his eyes. "I'll take more shifts, maybe pick up some side work on weekends." "What about family time?" I asked. "You and the kids are why I work," he said. "You're worth it." I should have fucked him right there in that hospital bathroom. Should have shown him he was worth it too. Instead, I patted his shoulder and went back to bed. The sex was good in the beginning. We were young, hormones raging, discovering each other's bodies in that tiny apartment above the hardware store. He was gentle, eager to please, always making sure I finished first. I remember one night, maybe 3 months after our wedding, pulling him into the stockroom of his dad's store during inventory. "We can't," he'd protested, even as I unbuttoned his jeans. I'd silenced him with my mouth, made him come so hard he knocked over a shelf of paint cans. We'd laughed until we cried, cleaning up the mess, stealing kisses between mopping up blue paint. That girl, the one who couldn't keep her hands off her husband, where did she go? But after the first baby, something changed in me. My body felt foreign, touched out from breastfeeding, exhausted from nights with a crying infant. When Tom reached for me, all I felt was another demand on my body, and the mirror. God, the mirror. Stretch marks like lightning across my stomach. Breasts that leaked at inconvenient times, soft where I used to be firm. I didn't want him to see me, really see me. So I turned away, wore baggy t-shirts to bed, changed in the bathroom with the door locked. "You're beautiful," he'd say, trying to lift my shirt. "Don't," I'd snap, pulling away. "I'm gross. You're my wife, the mother of my child, you're gorgeous." But I couldn't believe him. How could he want this ruined body when he'd had the tight, young version? So I kept the lights off, kept my shirt on, kept him at arm's length until keeping him away became easier than letting him close. After the second baby, the rejection became routine. After the third, it became expected. By the fourth, he'd stopped trying as often. By the fifth, he'd almost stopped trying at all. Almost. "We need to talk about our sex life," he said when our youngest was 5. He'd set up candles, cooked dinner, sent the kids to his mother's. The effort made me angry somehow. "What sex life?" I laughed, not seeing the hurt flash across his face. "That's my point, Linda. It's been 3 months. I have 5 kids, Tom. I'm touched out. I'm tired. I'm tired too," he said quietly. "But I still want my wife." "Is that all I am to you? A body to fuck?" The words hung between us like a blade. He didn't speak to me for 3 days after that. When he finally did, he apologized. Apologized for wanting his wife. That's when I realized I didn't have to desire him, because I already owned him. I started using it as a weapon. Anytime he'd complain about anything, money, the kids, work stress, I'd suddenly be interested in sex. Just long enough to make him feel guilty for complaining. Then back to rejection. "You only want me when I'm upset," he said once. "That's not true," I lied, knowing it was exactly true. Sex had become currency, and I was a miser. The years blurred together. Tom working, me managing the house and kids, family dinners where he'd compliment my cooking, school events where he'd hold my hand for the cameras, Sunday dinners with my sisters where they'd joke about their useless husbands while Tom fixed their leaking faucets and changed their oil. "You're so lucky," they'd say. I'd smile and agree, not mentioning that I hadn't let him touch me in months, that I'd hide my tampons to pretend my period lasted 2 weeks, that I'd stay up late watching TV just to avoid going to bed at the same time. When he suggested counseling, I laughed. "For what? We're fine." "I'm not fine," he said. "I feel like your roommate, your ATM, everything but your husband." "Don't be dramatic," I dismissed. "This is what marriage looks like after kids." "Then why do I see other couples our age holding hands, kissing, looking at each other like they're still in love?" "Those couples don't have 5 kids," I said, ending the conversation. But he kept trying. Date nights I'd cancel. Weekend getaways I'd say we couldn't afford, knowing he'd work overtime to pay for them if I really wanted to go. Little gifts I'd thank him for and set aside. One Valentine's Day, he recreated our first date. Same restaurant, same booth. Even found the same wine we'd shared at 18. He'd arranged babysitting, bought me a new dress, written me a letter about falling in love with me all over again. I spent the entire dinner checking my phone and complaining about the kids. "Am I boring you?" he finally asked. "Don't be sensitive," I said. "I'm here, aren't I?" "Your body's here," he said quietly. "But you haven't been present in years." "Maybe if you helped more with the kids." "I work 70 hours a week to pay for everything," he interrupted, something he never did. "I coach Sam's baseball team. I drive Emma to dance. I help with homework every night. What more do you want from me?" "I want you to stop pressuring me for sex," I snapped. He didn't touch me for 6 months after that. When he finally did, a hesitant hand on my hip one morning, I actually flinched. "Sorry," he whispered, pulling away. "I forgot." Forgot what? That his wife found his touch repulsive? That 20 years of marriage meant nothing in our bed? "Remember when we used to make out during commercials?" he asked one night, reaching for me on the couch. "We're not teenagers anymore," I said, moving away. "We're not dead either," he replied. But I was. Dead to desire, dead to passion, dead to anything but the routine of motherhood and the comfort of knowing Tom would always be there. The lingerie stayed in the drawer. The bedroom door stayed open for kids who might need me. The space between us in bed grew wider. "I miss you," he'd whisper sometimes in the dark. "I'm right here," I'd answer, knowing that wasn't what he meant. When menopause hit, I thought I'd found the perfect excuse. Hot flashes, mood swings, dryness, all reasons to avoid his touch. But Tom researched solutions, bought lubricants, suggested hormone therapy. "I'm fine," I insisted. "This is natural." "Feeling unwanted by my wife isn't natural," he said. "Maybe you should find a girlfriend," I snapped, secure in the knowledge that Tom would never cheat. He was too good, too loyal, too grateful I'd chosen him all those years ago. "I don't want a girlfriend," he said. "I want my wife." But I didn't want to be wanted. Not like that. I wanted to be appreciated for keeping his house, raising his kids, making him look good at company parties. The physical stuff? That was for young people. For people without stretch marks and saggy breasts and bodies that had been through 5 pregnancies. Except Tom's body had changed too. Construction work had kept him strong, but time had added gray to his hair, lines to his face, a slight belly that appeared in his 40s. I didn't care. I didn't look at him that way anymore. 6 months ago, something shifted. He stopped reaching for me entirely. No more hopeful touches as he passed me in the kitchen. No more lingering kisses that might lead somewhere. Just pecks on the cheek. Good morning, goodbye, good night, like checking items off a list. The first time I noticed was when I bent over to load the dishwasher. For 20 years, Tom would have copped a feel, made some silly comment about my ass. This time, he walked past like I was furniture. "Did you see the Williams got divorced?" I mentioned over dinner. "Yeah," he said, focused on his plate. "Jim seems happier." "Happier? He lost his house, pays alimony." "He also has a girlfriend who actually wants to fuck him," Tom said calmly. "Probably worth it." The kids weren't home, but I still gasped at his crudeness. "Tom!" "What? It's true. Man worked himself to death for a woman who couldn't stand him touching her. Now he's free. Is that what you want? To be free?" He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Peace. "I want to finish raising our son," he said. "Then yes, I want to be free." "Are you having an affair?" I asked, my heart pounding. He actually laughed. "With what time? What energy? No, Linda, I'm not having an affair. I'm just done pretending this is a marriage." And for the first time in 27 years, I believed him. I started noticing everything after that. How he'd built a home gym in the garage instead of working out at the house where I might see him shirtless. How he did his own laundry so I wouldn't have to touch his clothes. How he'd started sleeping on the very edge of the bed, as far from me as possible. 3 nights ago, I decided to fix it, to show him I could still be the wife he wanted. I showered, shaved, lotioned every inch of skin, put on lingerie I'd bought for our anniversary and never worn. When I dropped my robe, I expected his eyes to light up. Expected him to reach for me like he used to. Expected 27 years of rejection to disappear in the face of black lace and desperation. Instead, he looked at me like I was a stranger, rolled his eyes, and turned off the light. "Tom," I whispered, tears already starting. "Are you having an affair?" He turned the light back on, looked at me with eyes so empty I didn't recognize him. "No, Linda, I'm not having an affair. I'm just not sexually attracted to you anymore." The words hit like physical blows. What do you mean?" "I mean you've rejected me for so long that my body finally got the message. I don't want you that way anymore. I couldn't get hard for you if I tried." But I'm here now. I want—" "No," he interrupted. "You want me to want you because you can't stand being rejected. You don't actually want me. You never have." "That's not true. I love you." "You love what I provide," he said calmly. "The house, the lifestyle, the security. But you don't love me. If you did, you wouldn't have spent 20 years making me feel like wanting my own wife was some kind of burden." Please, I begged, crawling across the bed toward him. We can work on this. I'll do better. Do you know what it's like, he said, his voice finally showing emotion, to lie next to someone every night who can't stand your touch? To be married to someone who'd rather clean toilets than kiss you? To work yourself to death for a family where you're nothing but a paycheck? You're not just a paycheck. Name one time in the last decade you touched me without me asking first, he challenged. One time you initiated any physical contact that wasn't for a photo or in front of other people. I couldn't. I used to dream about you wanting me, he continued. Used to fantasize that one day you'd look at me the way you did when we were 18. But you know what? I don't even have those dreams anymore. You killed them. You killed the part of me that wanted you. I sobbed harder. We can fix this. Counseling. I offered counseling for 10 years. You said we didn't need it. I'll do better. Linda. His voice was so gentle it hurt. I'm done. When Sam graduates next year, I'm filing for divorce. I've already talked to a lawyer. You'll get the house alimony. I won't fight you on anything. I just want out. You can't leave me, I whispered. 27 years. 27 years of feeling unloved, unwanted, and undesired, he finished. I'm 48 years old. I've got maybe 30 good years left. I'm not spending them with someone who can't stand my touch. What about till death do us part? What about your vows? What about yours? He countered. To love, honor, and cherish. When was the last time you did any of those things? He slept in the guest room that night, has been ever since. Still kisses me goodbye in the morning. Those meaningless pecks that feel like mockery now. Still comes home every night. Still acts like the perfect husband in front of the kids. But he's gone. I can see it in his eyes. The man who loved me, who desired me, who would have done anything for me. I killed him slowly over 20 years of rejection. My sisters tried to help, suggested ways to seduce him, to remind him what he'd be missing, but they don't understand. Tom doesn't miss me. He's grieved me already, mourned our marriage while still living in it. Just give him the best blowjob of his life, my younger sister suggested. Men are simple. He doesn't want me, I explained. He said he couldn't get hard for me if he tried. Jesus, my older sister muttered. You really fucked up, didn't you? Yesterday, I tried again. Waited until he came home from work, met him at the door in just his old work shirt. Linda, stop, he said tiredly. This is embarrassing for both of us. I'm your wife. No, he said, hanging up his keys. You're my roommate, my co-parent, the person I share bills with, but you haven't been my wife in years. What do you want me to do? I screamed. Get on my knees? Beg? I wanted you to want me, he said simply. Not because I was leaving, not because you felt obligated, just want me. But that ship sailed about 15 years ago. He's lost weight these past 6 months, gained muscle, started dressing better, fixing his hair different. Not for another woman, I've checked, for himself, for the man he's about to become without me. Dad seems different, our oldest daughter mentioned last week. Happier. He's having a midlife crisis, I lied. Mom, she said gently, when was the last time you and Dad, were intimate? The question shocked me. That's not appropriate. I'm 26. I'm married, and I'm worried about you both. We're fine, I insisted. No, you're not. Jack and I have been married 3 years and we still can't keep our hands off each other. You and Dad don't even sit on the same couch anymore. She was right. When had that started? When had we become strangers living in the same house? He's just waiting for the funeral now. I lie in our bed, my bed, and think about all the nights I turned away, all the times I pretended to be asleep, all the excuses I made. I had a man who worked himself to the bone for our family, who stayed faithful despite years of rejection, who still tried to want me even when I made it clear I didn't want him. And I threw it all away because I couldn't be bothered to fuck him twice a week. The black lingerie is back in the drawer. Tom won't look at it again. Won't look at me that way again. In 1 year, he'll be gone, and I'll be a 50-year-old divorced woman who destroyed her marriage because she thought her husband would never leave. Last night I heard him on the phone with his brother. "I'm not angry anymore," he said. "I'm just free, like I can finally breathe again." My youngest asked me yesterday why Dad seems sad. He's not sad, I realized. He's relieved. And I'm the one who set him free. I just didn't know I was doing it until the cage door locked behind him, with me on the inside. Some women lose their husbands to other women, some to death, some to addiction. I lost mine to indifference, his and mine. And of all the ways to lose someone, I think this might be the worst, because I could have prevented it with just a little effort, a little enthusiasm, a little love. But I was too busy being comfortable to notice I was killing us both. The black lace still sits in my drawer, tissue paper crumbling around it. And the next time I wear it, it won't be for him. It'll be for the funeral of the woman I used to be, the one who once pulled her husband into a stockroom because she couldn't wait another minute to have him. That woman's been dead for 20 years. Turns out I buried her under my own indifference. And now I sleep in the grave I dug, alone.